Episode 9 of the Sporting Tribune Today continues, and right now we can finally talk some basketball. Well, at least kinda. Joining us, beat writer for the LA Clippers, works for Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, hosts a podcast as well for us here on the Sporting Tribune, and quite frankly, works his ass off, which is why it's taken us so long to get him on the show. But without further ado, Joey Linn joins us. Joey, what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on, and apologies for taking so long. But like you said, the grind is real, especially being on the beat. This team is they're practicing, they're doing their shoot-arounds, they're obviously at the arena playing games, and I'm there for all of that. So I appreciate you having me on, and I'm happy that I was able to make it.
No, of course, and then more than many other teams in the league, you got to always be there for the injury report because we got to see his squad play.
I've been waiting around my phone around 5 o'clock, 5:30 every night, waiting for that notification because the fans are waiting on it.
No, 100%. And before we get into hoops and the trade deadline, and kind of where the Clippers have been at this season, we need to get to know you. So we're calling this a speed round, some random questions, a lot of things that I want to know. What's your favorite of this, that, and the third? So we'll start off. If you had to lose one finger on both hands, which finger are you choosing?
Off the top of my head, I'm gonna go left pinky just because I'm right-handed.
No, but you got to lose both pinkies.
Oh, I got to lose both. All right. Yeah, I'll probably still go with the pinky just because, you think if you're going to throw a baseball, if you're going to pick up a pen, if you're going to type, like a lot of those different things, you're probably not going to need the pinky for. Not that I wouldn't miss it, but it would probably be the one I would choose.
Do you have a pop socket on your phone?
I don't, no.
So the pinky's like key to holding the phone.
Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, I pick my phone up. Could I do it with that? Yeah, I could probably still do it without the pinky. I'd probably just have to prioritize holding it with both hands.
These are facts. Who's your favorite rapper?
Lil Wayne, by far.
What's your favorite hobby?
Playing video games.
Oh, well then the new one. Favorite game?
MLB The Show, probably. That's, when I was a kid, I played all sports games, stuff like that. But for whatever reason, I just became so much better at the show than so many other games. Like, I was always so much better than my friends.
Diamond Dynasty?
Oh, I'm a dog in Diamond Dynasty. Yeah,
Do you do Battle Royal or do you do like the season mode?
Yeah, I go 12-0 every year, multiple times. What you talking about?
Yo, MLB The Show, for those that haven't played, is the hardest video game of all time. To the point that when I first got my PlayStation, when I finally made contact on a foul tip, I ran around the house in joy because I finally made contact because it's that hard. But we'll move on. Your first pro sports jersey you owned.
It's funny. We were just talking about it. You got a Cleveland Guardians hat on. It was Vinny Pastano, relief pitcher for the then Cleveland Indians, who, as I just told you before we went live, grew up right next door to me. So
literally
crazy, literally right next door to me. So he was drafted by Cleveland in 2006. Got his jersey, of course, and I became a Cleveland baseball fan. I really became a baseball fan in general because of him. He went to Cal State Fullerton, watched them win the national championship in 2004, and then when he got drafted by Cleveland, got his jersey. So that's my first sports jersey. First basketball jersey was Blake, of course.
Your favorite show of 2022?
Talking about TV shows?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it honest with you, man. I don't turn the TV on unless it's to watch basketball or baseball. So people call me crazy. They say, man, why you don't get in any TV shows? I really don't. So, I guess on a technicality inside the NBA, if you want to call that a show.
That qualifies.
I'll give you that answer then.
Third grade hoopers talking smack on the basketball court. Of course, the viral video. Is that a major W or major L?
It's a great question. I've actually gone back and forth on it because when I saw Evan Fournier's tweet, I agreed with it. And then I saw Katie's tweet, and I kind of agree with that as well. I know as a kid, when I was growing up, I mimicked the pros, both on the baseball field and on the basketball court. I tried to Vlad Guerrero was my favorite baseball player when I was a kid. So I naturally swung at everything, right? So it's just kind of the way that it goes. So I get what KD's saying. I think I lean in that direction. But I also think it's on the coaches as well to not necessarily discourage it, but to let them know, like, hey, there's a time and a place. Like, it doesn't need to be every single possession.
We're down by 30.
Every single bucket. Like, yeah, if it's a big play, show some emotion. I don't have a problem with that. But in terms of, doing it on every play, I think it'd probably scale back a little bit.
All right, 2 more speed round questions. This weekend is the Royal Rumble. Big wrestling fan here. But for you, any era, how many wrestlers can you name?
Oh, man. Jeez, dude, not a whole lot. I mean, I used to play the WWE 2K games back as a kid, so honestly, man, like off the dome, it's just gonna be like John Cena. It's gonna be Hulk Hogan. It's gonna be The Rock. Kind of like the most popular ones. But in terms of going any further into that, I know my buddy Farbod, who I write with, he reps Miro, so I know him. There's not a whole lot though, to be honest with you. I never gotten too far into it outside of just playing the video game.
Focused on the game. I like it. And then so my last one, your favorite Clipper that you've covered.
Okay. That's a great question. I'm gonna probably go Luke Kennard. He is probably the first player that got to know me, like knew my name, and I got close with him at training camp. No, summer league actually. I saw him and then saw him again at training camp in Vegas, and he was super cool to me because he had known that I had actually been showing him love since before he came to the Clippers, because I'm a big Blake Griffin fan. And when Blake got traded to Detroit, Luke was still a rookie there. And I remember Luke was getting a lot of hate just because he was drafted one pick before Donovan Mitchell. So while he obviously wasn't Donovan Mitchell, he was still really good, and he was probably their best shooter at that time. And I always just thought it was kind of unfair to him. So I've been supporting him since he was with Detroit. And then when he came to the Clips, like I told him that story when I first met him at training camp, and he appreciated that, and he's shown me love since. So I got a good relationship with him. And then other than that, probably Reggie. Reggie's super dope. Cool guy to cover. So I mean, really everybody on the Clips has been super cool.
Dope. Well, we'll head into the basketball stuff right now, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I didn't tell you. So here in Las Vegas, I'm also part of a radio station here with Odyssey, which means that I've been very, very busy with football stuff, Raiders, Tom Brady rumors, this, that, and the third. So for me and those like me that kind of haven't gotten into that basketball mind state, as we head into the trade deadline and the All-Star break for the Clippers, what's kind of been the story this season, and where do you see them right now currently?
Yeah, I've talked about it quite a bit on my own pod, and I think one of the things that you're going to have to keep an eye on is what they should do and what the front office thinks they should do. Because I think I have a different opinion on what direction the Clippers should go other than the front office does. Because if you look at the way they moved in the last few seasons, they really put a big emphasis on point guard play. They really care about that. I mean, they traded 2 seconds and Lou for Rondo in 2021. They went and signed John Wall for the whole mid-level exception. They care a lot about point guard play, but so far this season, their 2 point guards, and John and Reggie, have probably been the 2 worst rotation players on the team. And I hate to say I love both those guys as people, but it's just been a rough year for them. So the Clippers have been at their best this season when their point guards have been off the floor, and one of Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, or Norman Powell have been running the bench group or even the starting group. And I think that that's something that the Clippers should lean into entirely, where they either sit their 2 point guards down, deal one of them or deal both of them, and just kind of lean into the guard play that they have had good production with so far this season. I think that's what they should do. However, unfortunately, I do have a bad feeling that they're going to make a deal for a guy like Mike Conley, or a guy like Lowry, like an older kind of past their prime point guard, just because they fit the point guard description that this team likes. So that's what I think they're going to do, although I wouldn't like to see it. I would hope they would use whatever package they would send out in a deal like that for a backup big, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
And it's going to sound weird for me to say, but this team really has no other choice but to go for a championship, because 2024 is staring them at the face, and what could happen if Kawhi and Paul George leave. But also, the West is really wide open, and even the Grizzlies and some of these teams, like everyone has a flaw.
Well, the Grizzlies are fine in the West. Don't talk about
their offense, but their offense though.
Okay.
okay. Because like they still need to score. Like John's not going to get to the foul line as much in the playoffs. But for you, with the West being as open as it is, do you still view this team as an actual contender?
I'm not ready to say that yet. What I said on my last podcast is that I think they're one move away, and that one move would be leaning into their guards like Terrence and Luke and Norm, and kind of going away from Reggie and John. I think if they decide that they really do need a traditional point guard on the floor at all times, and they continue to find themselves with these pairings of, like Reggie and Norm or John and Norm, and kind of like different small guard combinations that have to see the floor at some point because they're so dead set on playing one of Reggie and John, I'd be much more out on them than if they were to lean more into what I believe is their more optimal lineup construction. So it kind of is to be determined. I think they have the pieces, if that answers your question. I do think they have the necessary pieces. It's just a matter of whether or not they will put them in place in order to get to where I think they can get to if they play their cards right.
So in terms of the trade deadline, do you have a wish list? Like, what's your most favorable outcome? Is there a certain player or somebody that you want on the roster that you think they should go after?
I would just like to see them use one or two expirings plus maybe a young piece and a pick, whatever it would take to bring in a backup center. And I understand why some people are hesitant to part with assets to bring in a player who likely wouldn't see much time in the playoffs. But I still think it's an important piece to have because a guy like Moses Brown, who plays hard and, I like the dude, he's not really fit for that role. And it's actually been a role that's had rotation minutes this season. It's not just like a break the glass in case of emergency type situation. A guy like Moses has actually played rotation minutes at times throughout the year. So if you give those minutes to a much more capable backup center, now you have at least some production coming from that small role. And in case of emergency, you're not having to inherently go small if Zoo gets in foul trouble or rolls an ankle or something like that.
Sidebar: when you say young pieces, Terrence Mann, is he untouchable?
No,
Because
no,
the
no, no, no,
kid's
no, no,
nice.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
no. It's like the guys that are playing in the G League, like Brandon, Jason, those guys who I like as well, but would potentially be the type of player that a team willing to send out their backup center might say, hey, not exactly down to just take your two expiring deals on, in exchange for my productive backup center. Either give me a future pick or, Brandon or Jason. And that would be something that I would, probably be able to get behind. Luke and Terrence, no, not at all. No, absolutely not.
Gotcha. And before we get your plugs, my last question, because like I said, I haven't been able to watch as much as I'd like. Do have a lot of people on Clippers Twitter that I follow. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I know they're on a good run now. It's been very negative. People are like, I'm not even excited to watch these games. So hypothetically, we head into the postseason. This team, whether Kawhi and PG are on the court for a lot of it or a little bit of it, they, let's say, get bounced in the first round. Is Ty Lue on the hot seat if that happens, or is he on it now? Like, where are we with him?
It's tough because I thought that Doc had like the peak amount of job security when it came to his role and his stature within the organization. And one bad playoff collapse with Kawhi and PG, and he was out of there. So I don't think they would have as quick of a hook with Ty just because he has had, even just in his first year with the Clippers, more playoff success than Doc ever had with the Clippers. And I think he has, at least right now, kind of the benefit of that. They haven't really had a lot of time together. Guys have been out. Like, even if you do enter the playoffs, like, how much do you really know about the team at that point? So I do think that they would kind of have like that bit of a safety blanket for him. So I wouldn't consider him in the hot seat now or even with an early playoff exit. But again, I do admit that I felt the same about Doc and they surprised me. So kind of anything could happen when it comes to that.
All right. Well, before we get you out of here, plug the podcast where people can follow you. Because again, you're working your ass off and you're coming out with great content. So for people to check it out, where can they go?
Yeah, appreciate that, man. So, on Twitter, Joey Linn _ last name Linn, Linn with an underscore at the end. Obviously, I'm doing daily stuff for Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. I cover the Clippers as a beat writer, so I'm there doing their stuff every day, but I also contribute to other Fan Nation sites like the Warriors or the Nets, like some of the bigger teams that need more help covering, their teams just to kind of get a little bit, more content out there, a little bit more revenue coming my way. So I do that as well. And then in terms of the podcast, it's called the Clips Convos Show because I started Clips Convos back in 2018 when I just wanted to start talking about the Clips and I thought it was fitting, conversation topics around the Clippers. Turn that into an Instagram page, clips.convos, turn it into a podcast with the Sporting Tribune. So we got kind of one everything. If you want to follow my tweets, and you can do that. If you like Instagram posts, got that, podcast writing, kind of got it all. So that's
Jack of all trades. You love to see it, baby. And
I
don't worry,
appreciate you having me on,
we'll put it all down or up. No, you're actually going to be to the side. We'll make sure we get it all on the video and everything. Joey, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We'll check in with you here soon and keep kicking ass, bro.
I appreciate you, brother. You have a good one.